My name is Mark McKibben. We are here today to interview my father, Judge Howard McKibben, and to make a video for the court and the archives of the Ninth Circuit Historical Society. I want to ask you today to start with some reflections about growing up in the Midwest.
Well, Mark, I'm delighted to be here with you today, too, and I thank the Historical Society for the opportunity to memorialize the oral history of several of our senior judges, and we really appreciate all the work the Historical Society has done over the years in promoting the history of the Ninth Circuit. And when I was 2 years old, my sister and I were abandoned basically, and the welfare authorities took us to Normal, Illinois, where the orphanage was. And then two people that I call my guardian angels, Bernice McKibben and James McKibben, decided they wanted one child, but when they saw us and knew it was a package deal, they were going to have a girl. And fortunately, I was able to become part of the adoption process with my sister. And they adopted us, and that made all the difference in the world for me. And they provided the love and support that gave me a firm foundation for my future life. And I know that I would never be seated here today if it hadn't been for the two of them. I call them my guardian angels. I always thought in the back of my mind that I had received a wonderful gift from society when they took me into the baby fold and found two wonderful people to nurture and care for me. And so I wanted to give back in some form, and I always thought public service was the most important thing I could do. So I selected political science, history, psychology as my courses during that period of time, because I thought that might be an entree into either politics or into law or to public affairs or public service in some form. So that's why I selected that as my major. When I went on the bench in Las Vegas, we had right at 1,000 cases each. Judge Claiborne wasn't hearing cases. He was in trouble with the government at that time. And so Judge George and I divided almost 2,000 cases each, 1,000 apiece. We had the largest caseload in the country. And he and I tried individually about 50 criminal jury trials during the first 16 months I was on the bench. So we had quite an experience in handling federal cases during that period of time. And I have to say this, Judge George was almost like a brother to me. I mean, he helped me so much. He'd been appointed by Reagan 6 months before I was. So he was the senior senator at that point, along with Judge Foley in Las Vegas and Judge Thompson and Judge Reed in Reno. And Judge Reed was the chief judge at that time. So that was a very difficult period, but I got through it, I think, because of Judge George and the other judges were so accommodating. Probably we have as collegial a court as any in the country, and it's just been my good fortune to be a part of that collegial group, and they helped me through that very difficult period. Well, I took senior status when I turned 65, and I'm now 82, so that would have been 17 years ago. And I'm still hearing cases because it's the love of my life. Other than you and Susan, our grandchildren, Elizabeth and Alex, and with Susan's children, our grandchildren, Zachary and Annabelle, and Marianne, and that's my personal life and all the friends that we have. But in terms of my professional life, I couldn't have had a finer position, I think, in terms of enjoyment and inspiration than being on the federal bench. And I've had so many wonderful colleagues to work with, starting back in the early days, and I described the judges then and the others that we've had, every one of them just so collegial. And because I like to stay stimulated, and hearing cases and being in court is the love of my life, second love of my life, and the main one professionally. And I've just always felt that it was important to continue to provide public service as long as I can. And my health so far, knock on wood, is held up, and I still have some of my faculties left. I guess that is up to somebody else to judge. But as long as I can do that, I want to continue to help out. And we still have a huge caseload here, and so I'm glad that I can still make a contribution. Over time, people will continue to have respect for the judiciary, continue to have respect for the rule of law, And that's important to our society, and I've been so happy to be a part of the process where we foster that, and hopefully our commitment to the rule of law will continue with the judges that come after me. But that's why another reason that I've been senior judge for all of these years and continue to come in. How fortunate we were and have been all these years to have him as a colleague on our court. And we all know the reason that President Reagan appointed Judge George was because the president saw in him what we've always known, that he combined intellect, kindliness, patience, courtesy, and a modesty with a gentleness and humility that truly made him unique. It's those human qualities combined with the love of the law, a keen sense of justice, and an outstanding work ethic that speaks so eloquently about the judge that we pay tribute to today. He was truly a judge's judge.
What influences would you say were the biggest in your life, from your family or friends or other mentors?
Well, I'd say my father and my grandparents. My father was an attorney and a district attorney down in Clark County, Nevada, so I always knew that I wanted to go into law. My grandfather was a self-made lawyer. He studied the law in various chambers and then passed the bar and became an attorney in Utah. So that was a very strong influence, especially my grandfather, who had great love for the Constitution. Ran unsuccessfully one time for Congress, but he greatly influenced me.
So from an early age, you knew you wanted to be an attorney?
I did, yeah. I'd say probably my greatest passion on the district court bench is constitutional law. Of course, criminal law is always very interesting, and that always involves substantial constitutional questions. Mm-hmm. But in civil areas, I have enjoyed very much environmental law, civil litigation and contract litigation, and also the constitutional questions that come up. That's kind of been a passion, something that I've tried to follow. I'm 75 this year, but I enjoy sitting on the bench. I especially enjoy listening to the stories in the cases. I enjoy patent law, as intricate as that can be from time to time, but especially the human stories that arise in the criminal law. I enjoy listening to those stories as they come across slowly in trials, and civil trials too. It's a great experience, and the interaction with the jury and awaiting jury verdicts is something that's always been very interesting to me. So that's probably, along with fulfilling our acknowledged duty of helping out our current active judges, it's still a passion for me, and I enjoy working in the District of Nevada. We've had several terrific chief judges since my time. Chief Judge Navarro, Gloria Navarro, has been a terrific chief judge. She was great. And now Judge Dew, who sits here in Reno along with me. They are very competent chief judges, and I've enjoyed working and continuing to work under them. As you get towards the end of your life, you know, you look back at all of the dreams and goals you had set, and you realize that maybe half of those have been achieved, and you still have a bucket list of a lot of them left. But I've been very happy in serving in this position, and have enjoyed so much the association with the lawyers and the staff and the law clerks.
Thank you.
And especially those who served us in the court.
Dad said, what are you going to do now that you've graduated from college? And we were out in the peach orchard thinning the peaches, and I didn't want to leave him. I said, well, I guess maybe I'll become a teacher. And he said, well, you said at one time you wanted to be a lawyer, or you might become a lawyer. And he said, why don't you go down to the University of Utah and see if you can get into law school right now? And I said, I'm not going to leave you here to to do what is the worst job on the farm, because peaches have a lot of fuzz, and when you're knocking those peaches off so that the others size up, you get a lot of fuzz and other thing, and it's in your eyes and everywhere. So he finally agreed that he would take a rest if I'd go down to the University of Utah and see if I could get into law school. This was in July. And I went down and I asked the person there at the desk, what do you need to do to get into law school? And she said, well, have you taken the LSAT? And I said, what's that? And she said, well, that's the law school admission test. And I said, oh, well, okay. She said, but it's too late. The deadline was 2 weeks ago to sign up. And I was really relieved, and I started walking for the door. And she said, wait a minute, you can pay $25 and take the test in 2 weeks, and with the others. And so I went back and paid the $25 and signed up for the LSAT. I took the LSAT with not much preparation, and when I finished, I had the worst headache I'd ever had in my life. It felt like someone had put a hatchet right in the top of my head. And I thought, oh, that was really, really hard, and it was. But about 30 days later, I get a letter from the University of Utah telling me that I had been accepted into their class for September.
So now here we are in 2022. You've taken senior status in 2012, yet you can continue to serve as a senior judge. Is there reasons for that? Why you've stayed on when you don't have to?
I think it all goes back to Roy, Utah, where I grew up on the farm, and when people needed help and you saw they needed help, you didn't just stand by and see how they handled it. You jumped in and helped. And probably that has been a big factor in my decision to stay on, is just that after 6 years of vacancy with 2 judges missing, the help was needed. Anything I've ever accomplished in my life has been because I was surrounded by really good people. The people that were around me, the parents, the brothers, the people that I work with, you're at the foremost of that. The judges, the law clerks, even in the church and in the chamber, I had some of the best people in the world that supported me. And so I've always felt an obligation to just keep doing what I was taught to do by my parents, and that is sacrifice for the betterment of your family and others. And of course, I have to give tribute to my wife and my family for supporting me.
Each case, that's important for a judge to remember, each case that comes in front of me is important to the people, to the participants. So what are your important cases or significant cases that, well, significant for me or maybe significant to the community in general is different, because you have to understand that every case is important to the participants. So it's important that they get equal justice. So that's kind of been the hallmark that I've maintained with my law clerks. What's the right decision under the law? Nevada had enacted a gay marriage ban that Nevada would not recognize gay marriage. So it was assigned to one of the district judges who agreed with that position. it was appealed to the Ninth Circuit, and the Ninth Circuit reversed it. And obviously this was going on all over the country.
Right.
You know, and gay marriage was a somewhat new concept, but it was the wave of the future, if you will. So anyway, Ninth Circuit reversed it. It was sent back to him. He recused himself, so it got assigned to me. And so I recognized, you know, we need to act on this right away, because people are interested in this. There are people waiting to get married. And you know, so we don't need to stall this. We need to get rid of this right away. So I had to told my law clerks to once we got the appeal back from the Ninth Circuit, prepare an appropriate order, an injunction, enjoining the state of Nevada from enforcing the gay marriage ban. So we were seated right here. There's my desk behind me. I was seated there, and they were seated about where you are. And I had the order in front of me, the injunction, getting ready to sign it. And I said, "You know my opinion about gay marriage?" And they said, "No." And I said, "You never will, because my opinion doesn't matter. This is the law. This is the Constitution. This is what the law requires. This is the best job in the world. I would rather be a federal district judge than president of the United States. You can have an immediate impact on somebody's life, an immediate and direct impact on their life. And it's just that challenge of doing justice. Like I say, the motto of the state Supreme Court: do justice. And I mean, it's such an honor to be in this position and be able to be a positive force in other people's lives.
The real thrill, the one that just stands out the most in my mind, was the first time I took the bench in a jury trial. And as I sat on the bench there, I suddenly realized, after being a litigator all these years and representing only one side of the case, that suddenly I was representing every side of the case, because every person in that courtroom was looking to me to be fair, to be impartial, to follow the law, and to see a courtroom run effectively all the way around. I looked at the plaintiff's attorney, in that case the United States attorney. It was a criminal case. I appreciated what he was going through, but I looked at the defense attorney and the defendant, and I also knew what they were going through. And then I looked at the prospective jurors, and I realized they also were looking to me to be completely knowledgeable, fair, and impartial. And as I looked out at the courtroom personnel, I had that same feeling. They were the same way. And for anyone who was back in the audience of the courtroom, again, it was that same feeling. They were all looking to me as being the one person everyone in that courtroom could depend on. It was an overwhelming experience.
Do you still feel that today?
I still feel it today. Every time I step into a courtroom, and particularly in any jury trial, when that moment comes by, when things are going fairly smoothly and you can just focus on the beauty of the courtroom, I think of that moment, I think of those same feelings, and they've never changed. I've actually been a senior judge now for over 6 years.
And I'm still here because I still have those same feelings about the court as the day I had the honor of sitting behind the bench. It's just a very special, life-fulfilling experience. I'm of the view that the most important function in your life is your family. Your second most important function is your work. Your third most important function is yourself. They all have to be in balance for you to be happy, to be successful, and to enjoy what you do. And I've strived to do that throughout my life. And obviously, I know we all have ups and downs in our lives, that many of which are beyond our control, and certainly some that it will involve family. And those challenges, and just like a nomination that falls through after you've planned on a complete life change, there's corrections. But the point is that at the end of the day, can you place all three of those functions in balance? If you can, you will have led a very happy and successful life.
In your 21 years as a federal judge, or in your 21st year, what is your best memory of it?
All of it. Truly, all of it. I've loved it all. I love it today. That's why I'm still there.